Welcome to the sleaze, shocks and scandals of 1986.
Verbal, physical, moral anarchy.
A year when TV whipped up a storm.
They're sordid, they show the depths of depravity.
God moved in mysterious ways.
How have they missed out such a blatant handball?
And the soaps busted taboos.
Oh, come on.
Are you trying to tell me that you and Colin are homosexuals?
You'd think World War III had started.
We'll relive the celebrity scandals that made Britain gasp.
He's smoking drugs. Oh, my God.
It became more about the headlines with Michael Jackson than the music.
The moment we stared at our TV screens in sheer disbelief.
Wait. You're dead, aren't you, bro?
I was just happy to have Bobby back in the shower.
And we'll reveal the truth behind some outrageous tabloid tales.
One of the most famous front-page headlines of all time.
That can't be true, can it?
A year of sex,
Filth like this shouldn't be seen on British screens.
drugs,
I turned the news on and it was mentioned in Parliament.
and hyperbaric oxygen chambers.
It's good enough for Michael Jackson, it's good enough for me.
So strap in, hold on, and prepare to be both shocked
It was so frightening to us as kids.
and entertained
It is a golden moment of TV.
as we throw ourselves headlong into the stories that were so controversially 1986. 1986, I remember it well. It was the year Jeffrey Archer sensationally resigned as Tory party chairman.
The News of the World said he'd offered a prostitute money to leave the country in an attempt to avoid a possible scandal.
An attempt to avoid a possible scandal that didn't exactly work out as planned. That same year, thrill-seeking tycoon Richard Branson was in his powerboat smashing the world record for the fastest ever Atlantic crossing. Meanwhile, one popular kids' TV series was also making waves, both here in Britain and across the pond too. Nowadays, kids are hooked on the school series Sex Education. But this was the original, as these comic book titles and squelchy synthesizer theme announced another episode of Grange Hill. In 1986, this weekly show provided water cooler moments for millions of British kids, reflecting inner-city comprehensive life in all its dramatic glory.
Grange Hill was so popular at the time. Viewing figures at one point between 9 and 12 million, which is, unheard of now.
The school first opened its doors in 1978.
Been a naughty boy, ain't you, Gutsy?
Grange Hill's early years mainly tackled familiar high school issues like bullying.
I've only got enough for a packet of crisps.
That'll do. Hand it over.
But pinching small change would give way to a truly shocking storyline in Series 9. Up until 1986, this fella, Samuel Maguire, a.k.a. Zammo, was just another cheeky schoolboy. Since starting at Grange Hill in 1982, he'd mainly busied himself with low-level mischief.
Oi! Give that back! Get him! He's taking his dinner! And throwing rubbish!
Zammo was a bit cocky, a bit of a scallywag who was always in trouble with the teachers, but a lovable scallywag.
The kid behind the kid was teenager Lee McDonald. Zammo was his first major TV role, and with millions watching, he soon found himself at the centre of Grange Hill mania.
We was in the middle of a square, and it was really scary. The kids went mad. They just mobbed us. We was in the middle. The police come and was pushing us out of the way, wasn't it? And I remember running down the street and people pointing at me and shouting my name. All these girls, and I got my shirt grabbed, and they was all really tall. So I was, and they was just everywhere grabbing me from it. My neck was right there, my face. For me, it was amazing getting chased by, by 20 or 40 girls. Never happened now, but at the time it was just unbelievable. Well, look, if you still don't trust me, I'll stay in here where you go and get the money.
Then in '86, Zammo pivoted from pestering posh kids to a darker storyline, which pushed the boundaries of what could be shown on kids' TV.
Heroin was like a taboo subject. In my head, it was just like really bad people did heroin, and I think that's what most people thought at that time. So choosing Zammo, which was a really nice guy, it showed the turnaround that Good people can get involved with heroin.
You know what we're here for, don't you?
No, I don't.
You've been keeping those second-hand shops busy of late, eh?
I don't know what you mean. I had no idea it was going to have such an impact or the controversy around it.
Zamo's fall into the desperate life of an addict was documented in grim detail.
Oh, no. The downfall of the character was unbelievable. You'll sometimes get home early.
Well, you better put those things in your bag then, hadn't you, Grebo?
To go from this really likeable person to stealing from his mum, lying to his girlfriend, punching his best friend Kevin.
Samo!
And it was quite difficult to do.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
The main episode for me is when Roland walks into the toilet and he finds Zamo.
Samo! You all right?
And people don't know whether he's dead or he's just passed out.
You know what that is, don't you?
Yeah, but not Samo.
It was a real kind of seminal, change-making moment in terms of kids' TV.
Look, you better get him out of here. Boston like junkies.
It was so serious and so frightening to us as kids. It got everyone talking in the playground about how terrifying drugs were.
With shocking scenes like that, it's no surprise the heroin storyline caused a storm of controversy. While some felt the series had gone too far in its graphic portrayal of addiction, many applauded Grange Hill for raising awareness.
All the politicians could say it, but Grange Hill meant a lot more. They could relate to the characters in Grange Hill, so I think they did a really good job.
The anti-drug message had gone far beyond expectations. Everyone was talking about it.
A new campaign has been launched to warn the under-16s about the dangers of drug abuse. The main feature of the campaign is a pop video made by the cast of the BBC children's series Grange Hill.
Yes, the 80s was the era of the worthy campaign single. So, of course, the cast, complete with iffy choreography, found themselves unlikely pop stars.
They said to me, Lee, we want you to do the main vocals. And I can't sing. So on the record, Roland is singing my bits. And I can't dance either. So on video, I'm doing weightlifting. You would be number 40 in the charts, you come back, and then you'd be number 35. And then each week we come and go, wow, we're number 20, we're number 15, we're number 10, we're in the top 10. And then we're on top of the pops. Imagine being 16 being on top of the pops.
The guys at Grange Hill are giving some very good advice.
Grange Hill's unlikely pop stars even broke America, as the Just Say No message was allied with the anti-drugs campaign spearheaded by First Lady Nancy Reagan.
What will you do when someone offers you drugs? That's wonderful.
The final bit was walking in the White House, sitting down with Nancy Reagan.
Sit down.
Oh, this awful suit on, and give her a copy of the 12-inch version of Just Say No.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice.
I'm sure it got thrown under the chair pretty quickly, but just that memory of sitting in the White House with Nancy Reagan was unbelievable.
From a fictional comprehensive to the White House, Zamo's journey proved that controversy can sometimes change things for the better.
I was determined it wouldn't beat me. Determined to give it up for all the people that helped me fight it. There's no way an addict could ever do this. Still get people come up and say, I didn't do drugs because of you. You're not crying, are you? And it's so lovely that people have got fond memories of it.
Coming up, tabloids go Technicolor, as one outrageous newspaper went further than any other.
Hide-and-seek champ found dead in cupboard. It's a brilliant headline, let's be honest.
The Sunday Sport was complete and utter trash, but people bought it.
And what really happened when Freddie met Hammy.
Freddie Starr ate my hamster. What?
Urban myth or truth? I don't know.
Welcome back to the mid-80s, 1986 to be precise. when you could spend hours loading one game onto your home computer.
In homes throughout Britain, computers are now used mostly for entertainment.
At the cinema, we felt the need for speed as Top Gun turned Tom Cruise into a superstar.
Although Top Gun has done remarkably well at the American box office, it's not without its detractors. Some people have said that the film amounts to nothing more than a slickly produced recruiting poster for the American Navy.
And in politics, Margaret Thatcher was hoping there'd be no slip-ups with her controversial plans to ease financial regulations and weaken workers' rights.
Popular capitalism is a crusade to enfranchise the many in the economic life of Britain.
For me, 1986 is pretty much peak 80s, really. It's when the Thatcher revolution really kicked in.
On Monday, the stock exchange goes over to a new system of share dealing. The so-called Big Bang or deregulation will allow the buying and selling of shares by telephone and computer instead of face-to-face on the floor of the stock exchange as it's done now.
You have the Big Bang of the London Stock Exchange, which certainly reverberated all the way across London, that was suddenly full of yuppies.
There's more money being made in the city now than ever before. Share prices reached record levels this week.
It was red braces a go-go. It was just the beginnings of mobile phones the size of bricks. So it was suddenly this shiny, glamorous, exciting new world.
This shiny new world may have been exciting if you were one of those red braces-wearing capitalists, but for workers of the blue-collar variety, not so much. Take the newspaper industry, where a technological revolution was about to whip up a storm of controversy thanks to high-flying Manchester businessman Eddie Shah, a man who didn't see things in black and white.
This is a year of crisis for Fleet Street. Eddie Shah's on course to bring out Britain's first full-colour daily paper. For Shah's the catalyst for the revolution in technology and job losses that's finally arriving in Fleet Street.
Eddie Shah was determined to try and use Margaret Thatcher's new legislation against the trade unions and against strikes in order to bring in new technical ways of doing things in the newspaper industry.
Eddie Shah's colour tabloid will be produced in an electronic newsroom where journalists will feed their stories directly into the paper through computer terminals known as Magician.
Everything was going to be computers. It was going to be in colour. We could not imagine the use of colour.
Designed electronically, the size and colour of pictures or graphics adjusted at the touch of a button.
Like much else, the idea came from America, where USA Today had rewritten the newspaper rules with a modern style and full-colour photos. Eddie Shah wanted a piece of that action here with his new tabloid, also called Today.
Why is it called Today? Because it's today's paper. It's a modern paper, and we felt we wanted a title that reflected a modern viewpoint.
Newspapers have been a staple of the British diet for centuries. No one had tried to use colour before.
Britain's newest national newspaper is now rolling off the presses this evening in London, in Birmingham and in Manchester.
It was pioneering.
Pioneering, yes. Wildly successful, no. By the mid-90s, Today was yesterday's news. But Shah's high-tech tabloid had given an often divisive Australian media mogul a few ideas on how to increase profits. And if that caused some controversy, did he care?
By 1986, the olden days of the Fleet Street printing presses using hot metal and ink that stained your hands needed to be phased out. And Rupert Murdoch, the media tycoon, had been working on an all-new glossy printing plant in Wapping that would be using new technology.
Thanks to Rupert Murdoch, the wind of change is blowing down Fleet Street. Many fear it can never be the same.
The print unions were deeply unhappy about it, and there was very little they could do because it didn't need the manpower to turn out the papers. It was an absolute revolution. And Murdoch had the guts to do it.
We are securing the future of journalism and giving it the proper role in newspapers, which is one of far greater importance.
6,000 workers protested and said that they were going to go on strike, and Rupert Murdoch simply dismissed them.
There were more clashes late last night between police and demonstrators outside the News International plant at Wapping.
I was there, bringing the news, as we reported nightly on the War of Wapping, when picketers clashed with police as they tried to stop newspapers leaving the plant.
Under police helicopter searchlights, at the weekend, Murdoch's juggernauts roam.
This dispute actually went on for a year and became extremely heated because Rupert Murdoch brought in so many security, and the police became heavily embroiled, and they used special branch officers to infiltrate the protesters. You had policemen on horseback, you had informants.
Behind extraordinary prison-like security, this is Rupert Murdoch's Fortress Wapping.
In the end, Rupert Murdoch won. The Wapping plan went ahead, everyone converted to the new method of doing things, and those who'd been dismissed did not get their jobs back.
There'd rarely been a more profitable time to sell newspapers, and with the circulation war in full frenzy, the scene was set for another new publication to burst rudely onto our newsstands. A controversial tabloid that was so jaw-droppingly outrageous, it made all other red tops look tame by comparison.
Well, this Sunday sees the launch of a new paper that promises to make the Sun and the Star look about as racy as Good Housekeeping.
The Sunday Sport, when it came out, I remember someone bought a copy and we were all reading the headlines out to each other in this sort of disbelief that this had happened. But how could this happen in Britain? Because it brought that whole National Enquirer, American-style newspaper to Britain.
And the wizard of outrage behind the Sunday Sport was millionaire soft porn baron David Sullivan.
We feel that there is a hole in the market at the bottom end, the sort of market that News of the World used to cater for, but since it become a very much all-round family paper, it no longer caters for that particular slot, and that's the hole we're trying to fill.
The Sunday Sport promised readers a nipple count because there were so many bare boobs inside the pages. They did really disgusting things like featuring photographs of 15-year-old glamour models and counting down until those girls' 16th birthdays, which is when they could legally have photographs printed of themselves that were topless. The Sunday Sport was complete and utter trash, but people bought it.
A lot of women do say they find this kind of newspaper offensive.
And some don't.
But to those who do, what would you say, as somebody whose face is also going to appear in this newspaper?
By The Guardian.
With so many tabloid rags battling it out on the newsstands, controversy was the name of the game when it came to getting our attention. Editors demanded ever more outrageous headlines for their front pages and didn't always worry about the truth getting in the way of a juicy story.
Tell me, what would the ideal Sunday Sport story be then, if you were able to write your own headline?
Princess Di sunbathing nude on a public beach.
The Mirror and The Sun were in a circulation war. Each of them wanting to get the exclusive, the most outrageous headline, the story that would make people look at the front page and go, I've got to buy that. And then along came the Sunday Sport, and they kind of took what had already begun to veer just slightly into the realms of believable fantasy. And they took it and they moved it so far out there that nobody cared anymore. They'd found Hitler on the moon, wearing a raincoat and suspenders.
This headline here, Charles's sex romp shock, that does not accurately reflect the story, does it?
It does, yes.
Do you think that's an accurate reflection of what the story is as a whole?
Yes.
Well.
It's about Prince Charles and he's had a shock.
It was the start of clickbait headlines. You know, we didn't call it clickbait then. It was so ridiculous, and you knew that the story couldn't possibly be true.
What? The Elvis statue on Mars doesn't exist? If there was a Pulitzer Prize for fact-free headlines, the Sunday and Daily Sport would have won it weekly. And here's a few to enjoy.
Gordon Ramsay, sex dwarf, eaten by badger. Who thinks of this stuff?
Hide and seek champ found dead in cupboard.
I mean...
It's a brilliant headline. Let's be honest, it's a good gag.
Locked in loony bin for sex with Pop-Tart. Oh, my word. Honestly, only in the Sunday Sport, eh?
Help! I've got a Jamie Oliver garlic press up my arse.
Oh, dear. They wonder what killed the papers.
But none of the Sunday Sport's controversial front pages can hold a candle to one outrageous tabloid headline. On the 13th of March 1986, The Sun came up with a lead story so ridiculous, so head-scratchingly weird, it raised eyebrows across the globe.
Freddie Starr ate my hamster. It's just one of those headlines where you go, I want to read that.
That can't be true, can it? I mean, it can't be.
How did he eat the hamster? How's he got that between two slices of bread? Was it two slices of bread? What did it taste like?
Urban myth or truth? I don't know.
Freddie Starr ate my hamster has to be one of the most famous front page headlines of all time. So incongruous, so outrageous, and so ridiculous. But such was Freddie Starr's reputation in 1986 that, did he do it? It's quite possible that he did.
And she said,
You totally believed it because you knew Freddie was capable. You know, Ozzy Osbourne had bitten the head off a bat. Why wouldn't Freddie eat a hamster?
Do you find it tiring bombing around, doing these one-night stands?
Scouse comedy whirlwind Freddie Starr started off on the Northern Club circuit.
John!
Before TV beckoned in the 70s. Star by name, star by nature, he was unpredictable, untamed, and often unhinged.
Go on, go on.
But by the 80s, his antics were starting to look tired as a new wave of comedians like Rick Mayall and Ade Edmondson were taking the spotlight. Freddie needed a way to get back onto the front pages.
The story goes like this. Freddie Starr had been performing in a nightclub in Manchester. He went to stay at the house of his friend afterwards, Vince McCaffrey, and Vince's girlfriend, Leah DeSalle. He demanded that Leah make him a sandwich because it was late and he was hungry, and she refused. So he then got 2 slices of bread himself, got her hamster, put the hamster between the slices of bread, and ate the hamster. The RSPCA weren't best pleased, but the point is that it had the desired effect. It made the already famous Freddie Starr even more famous.
I seem to recall that his tour dates suddenly got extended and he did very well on it. I also think I'm right in saying that Freddie Starr was vegetarian.
It didn't take Hercule Poirot to work out that this bizarre story was fake news. It later transpired that Freddie's controversial, rodent-munching antics were a work of fiction, dreamt up by his publicist to sell some gig tickets.
Freddie Starr ate my hamster! Freddie Starr ate my hamster!
But it didn't stop Freddie Starr ate my hamster from being voted as the Sun's greatest ever headline.
Now I'm mad.
This is the quintessential Sun headline. It's what you shout across the street to a neighbour. It's war! Petrol's down 20p. Freddie Starr ate my hamster. What? So it's got everything. And the absolute punchline, there's not a word of truth to it.
Coming up...
Will you patronise me, blah, blah, blah?
The soaps get serious.
It was gritty. It was raw.
With the most controversial storylines that rocked our screens in 1986.
Shocking to look back at the newspapers of the time and see headlines such as EastBenders.
Welcome back to the seriously scandalous 12 months that was 1986. A vintage year for TV, in which we first set eyes on bread and brushstrokes, the will they won't they of moonlighting, and those olden golden girls. But if you wanted true ratings busters, you look no further than the soaps, which decimated all competition nightly.
Hello, lover boy. Happy New Year.
Comforting old Corrie found itself under siege against grittier storylines from EastEnders and Brookside.
You, the big man, standing behind your fruit and veg. Will you patronise me for the blood?
The soap battle escalated in the mid-80s, the battle to get those bums on seats, and it was very much driven by tackling issues that hitherto hadn't been tackled. And that's really how you got the headlines back then.
I think the one thing that soaps do really well is it gets into people's homes and can talk to them about stuff that's hard, that they might not be talking about elsewhere.
I've never seen anything quite like this in a soap opera.
The still picture, that scene now where Sheila Grant is in the shower, washing herself. It was gritty, it was raw, there was nothing pretty about it, there was nothing comfortable about it.
Sheila? I thought you were going down the Swan, eh? You've been to his house, haven't you? Haven't been near the Swan.
Sue Johnson is such a great actress and she made it so real.
What the hell's going on? For God's sake, what's going on?
And you've got a real sense of how such a traumatic event can impact not just the individual, clearly, but those living with her.
She...
For Sue Johnston, this wasn't just acting. Shockingly, she'd first-hand experience of what her character had undergone.
Sue Johnston said in her autobiography later that she herself had been sexually assaulted in 1970. Acting that role made her think about what had happened and also prompted viewers to consider this crime and get in touch with her and talk about things that had happened to them.
When they came to put rape into the storyline, they knew that I had had an experience, if you like, and therefore asked me if I would mind covering that issue.
People kind of use you as a sounding board, in fact, an agony aunt, don't they?
I think not just to me, to most people who are in soap operas, you get people, I think it's almost therapeutic that they can write to these people. They feel that they know them, and it's a release.
But it must have been terrifying at the time, having gone through something personally and then having to play something out to the public and not knowing how that's going to affect you. And she did it beautifully and, I think, sensitively.
21 today, 21.
The harrowing ordeal of Sheila Grant wasn't the only big drama storyline to cause controversy in 1986.
Morning. Morning.
Having a gay couple on a soap was strictly taboo until EastEnders boldly broke the mould in 1986.
Didn't drink that much, did I? No, only about 23 pints.
Gary Hales was cast as one half of that couple, and at first he thought he was walking into just another job.
I've never seen you there before.
They gave me a script, explained what it was, told me that I was sworn to secrecy, and then they started to get into a more serious conversation about what the role entailed, that it would be quite a controversial role, and if I were to be offered it, would I be prepared to accept what may come as a result? I'm an actor, I'm just like, yeah, just give me the job.
Yeah, fine, thanks. See, I had that effect on people. I told you all tensed up, didn't I? Yeah, see ya, ta-ra.
It's a bit out of your league, isn't he?
Well, I'd have said the opposite. It wasn't something that I considered to be as controversial as it clearly was.
Remember, up until this point on TV,
I don't know what to say.
gay people and their relationships were often marginalised and mocked.
Previously on television, gay characters were always stereotypical.
My horoscope said I was going to get a new position. I interpreted it quite differently.
Are you being served? Mr. Humphreys, ooh, you know, all that.
Oh,
stop it. I can't stand it any longer.
And they were seen as kind of almost joke characters. But Colin and Barry were just regular guys. They were normal people that you would meet in the pub or work with.
It was real. You know, this yuppie, such was the buzzword at the time, and this young market stall, vagabond kind of guy getting together, it just actually really did make sense. The opposites attract, and they complemented each other.
We're supposed to be partners, aren't we?
It's a good job we weren't up the Hippodrome. Let us having them naff gay weddings. You've had us being bride and groom.
I'll ignore that remark.
To have two gay characters in a soap back then, just living their lives like any other character, going through the motions with their own soap storyline, I think was a key part in breaking down stigma.
What are you doing? I'm doing the air. I always do the air in the morning. Yes, you know, you're doing it in here.
Particularly at a time, and I think we have to remember, that LGBTQ+ people were experiencing a load of discrimination.
Sadly, it didn't take long for Gary to realise just why the EastEnders producers had warned him of the repercussions that might come with taking this role.
Every morning before I went off to film, I'd get into my little blue Ford Escort or whatever it was, and there were builders opposite, and I would just say good morning. And the day after it came out, I came out in the morning, and the very same builders that I've been saying good morning to every day for the last 6 weeks and just, you know, chatting to, suddenly hurled abuse across the road from their scaffolding. I was just a bit shocked and a bit like, oh, this is what they meant. Now I get it.
As Colin and Barry's relationship became more serious...
I bought you a present. Like it?
Hate it. Take it out again.
Including soap's first, albeit remarkably chaste, gay kiss.
Promise me you'll take the day off and I'll ring you lunchtime, OK?
It wasn't just builders stoking the homophobia.
It's shocking, I think, to look back at the newspapers of the time and see headlines such as EastBenders and highlighting how shocking it is to feature two characters kissing prior to the watershed.
Dot, the icon of the square, played by the wonderful June Brown, was very much against Barry and Colin as a bigot. And she's this beloved character in the square.
But good Christian Dot finally saw the light and eventually formed a touching friendship with Colin.
That's very cool, Floppy.
Oh, it's just a little something, a token, you know, for the season.
Colin and Barry's relationship lasted just 1 year.
Look, this isn't going to work, is it? This relationship, it just isn't going to work. I mean, we're too different. You know that.
But the legacy of that relationship was a landmark in representing the LGBTQ+ community in front of millions of viewers.
Despite the controversy, there was so much more positive than there ever was negative. I get letters from people where they say, you know, watching Colin and Barry gave me the courage to come out and gave me the courage to you know, be who I am. And that's pretty powerful stuff.
When June Brown passed away in 2022, EastEnders gave her a moving tribute as Dot was laid to rest. And among those celebrating her life were two once controversial faces, now welcomed back as old friends.
30 years ago, I was eating chicken. Now we're just two old queens.
Oh, speak for yourself.
I remember when Dot used to call me one of them homosexuals.
I went back to EastEnders, and Colin and Barry finally got the kiss that they were never allowed to have in the 80s. And there was no outrage, there was no problem, in fact, quite the reverse. There was a lot of support. It's phenomenal to see that there has been that much change.
This place doesn't change much, does it?
I don't know about that.
It's not perfect, but it does feel good that we were part of making that change in our own little way. And I'm waiting for the spin-off, you know, Colin and Barry in Marbella or something. I'm sure there's a series there if you're watching.
Stay tuned for more moments of gobsmacking controversy from 1986, when we were bowled over by Ian Botham's drugs confession.
Tabloids unleashed their full frenzy and Botham became public enemy #1.
And Maradona got very handy at the World Cup.
When Diego Maradona was asked about the goal, he said, a little bit the head of Diego, a little bit the hand of God.
Are you suggesting that God advocates cheating?
Chat show hosts were kings of telly in the 80s. From Parky and Hearty.
She said, do you believe in sex before marriage? And I said, not if it delays the ceremony.
To the chat master himself, Terry Wogan.
If you're moral, you can't sleep with a man without being married, so I married him, I sleep with him, and when I had enough, I leave.
Then there was the long-running Des O'Connor Tonight.
Thank you very much.
The clues were in the title. It was on at night and hosted by Des O'Connor.
I went to one of those pound stretcher holidays. You can go anywhere in the world on a stretcher for £1.
Des O'Connor was a consummate professional at those sort of chat show formats. He was brilliant.
And how is mother-in-law at the moment?
She came to live with us 3 months ago. I soon heard the knock on the front door. I knew it was her. And the mice were throwing themselves on the traps.
We had big international stars on, British and American. Unusually, even at that time, it was done live.
By 1986, Des had jumped ship from the BBC to ITV, where he was about to be reminded of the perils of live broadcasting. Here's the source of the O'Connor controversy: Liverpool comic Stan Boardman with his World War II fixation. It was his use of a German military term that turned into a bombshell for poor Des.
Stan Boardman is a fascinating comedian because his brother was actually killed by a German bomb in the war. So when he talked about the Germans bombing my chippy, which became his great big standing joke for many years, he knew exactly what it meant.
Everyone's asked me about the Germans because you say, well, did he bomb your chip shops? I said, yeah, but he bombed everybody's chip shops, didn't he? I mean, they bombed in Poland. I mean, they bombed Poland's chip shops. Did he have them? All right. Is he Polish?
Just blessing you.
When it starts, he tries to do a gag about bombing Polish chip shops or something, and it doesn't work. There's just tumbleweed blowing across the stage, so he probably thinks, right, I'm going to have to up the ante.
I am in the Spitfire, and all of a sudden I see in front of me 2 fuckers.
He decides to tell this collision of the German name for an aircraft being a Fokker and the well-known English expletive.
I think to myself, I must shoot one of the fuckers down.
Des doesn't quite know what to do. The more he makes it obvious that he understands the joke, the worse it is.
And the other fucker went into the clouds, so I followed him. And I lose the fucker.
Des knows he's a goner. There's no point in stopping it. The train has left the station and it's hurtling down the track.
By now, Des O'Connor has got his head in his hands. He doesn't know where to go.
I look behind me. The fucker is behind me.
And I think by now we're at the 8th or 9th or 10th incantation of the word Fokkers. You ultimately get to the punchline.
Eamon Andrews said, hang on, Charlie Polanski, you've got to explain to the viewers that, you know, during the war, the German fighter plane was a German Fokker-Wolf. He said, that is correct, Eamon, but these fuckers were Messerschmitt.
Is a golden moment of TV.
If Des O'Connor was having a difficult time in 1986, it was nothing compared to the sticky wicket endured by one British sporting legend. Ian Botham was a cricketer of such prodigious strength, he could even eat 3 shredded wheat, as shown in this memorable commercial from the time.
Who can eat more than 2?
But in 1986, we learned the England all-rounder had been dabbling in something stronger.
I think what was really interesting about Ian Botham was that he wasn't the kind of classic cricketer. He was a bit more of a lad.
Ian Beefy Botham taking on the establishment, that splendid mullet and the short moustache that made him the legend he was.
And he's won so many awards and set so many records, it's simpler just to say he's the greatest all-rounder this country's ever produced.
In 1985, Botham took his mullet and moustache on an epic 874-mile walk from John O'Groats to Land's End, raising over £1 million for leukemia and lymphoma research. He could do no wrong.
Ian, 23 miles to go. Do you think you'll make it?
Yes, I'll make him out, no problems.
He was almost untouchable until he had the temerity to smoke some marijuana.
Ian Botham's admission that he smoked marijuana has got him dropped from the England cricket squad, and it could have finished his Test career for good.
Yes, it transpired the hallowed turf at Lord's wasn't the only grass Beefy Botham had become familiar with. In May '86, he admitted to smoking marijuana in an interview with a Sunday newspaper.
I haven't smoked a joint since my early 20s. It's a long time ago. So I don't know what the big fuss is all about.
This is 1986, where it was still seen as this, oh, wow, you know, he's smoking drugs. And he's Ian Botham. Oh, my God. He's out of control. He's had some weed. The tabloids, in their fabulous way, unleashed their full frenzy, and Botham became public enemy #1.
Even as a 12-year-old, I remember thinking, OK, he smoked cannabis, but it's not that bad, is it? But the England and Wales Cricket Board thought it was. They took a much dimmer view and decided, in their infinite wisdom, that they would ban England's greatest player of the time for, I think, 63 days. It was quite a long ban.
He smoked a funny cigarette. I accept, that you shouldn't boast about it. But to deny a person his livelihood, I think, is unduly punitive. But everybody was smoking weed in 1986.
Typically for him, Botham didn't shy away from the media spotlight. But wherever he went, the questions over his drug use wouldn't go away.
Where do we stand on drugs? I mean, what is the definitive situation? Have you used them recently? Was it years ago?
As I said at the time, it's all in my past, it's history.
But you've had nothing to do with it for what, years?
Oh, long enough now.
See, the time element is confusing.
He's trying hard, isn't he?
Beefy took refuge on a kids' current affairs show, where surely the questioning would be less combative. Wrong.
Why do you think that as a cricketer you've become wider known for your antics off the field rather than for your performance on the field?
Thanks to the British media.
Why, when you complain so much about publicity, do you go out of your way to attract attention to yourself? Is it for financial gain?
Attract attention to myself? What, you mean be good at my sport?
Open to Question was a fascinating show where you put a celebrity in front of an audience of teenagers, and they pulled no punches.
Don't you think it's a very sexist remark to say that changing nappies is women's work?
No, I think it is. If you want to send me the nappies to the post, I'll wash them and send them back.
Wow, they did get stuck into him, didn't they?
As someone who is always in the public eye, promoting health, fitness and sport, why did you turn to drugs that destroy health?
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. All I'm saying to you is it's something that happened in my life.
Oh, my Lord. Poor bloke.
How long did you take marijuana for?
What? Dabbled in it a few times.
Over how long? Over 12 years? Whatever.
No, I said dabbled in it over a few times. I don't know. I'm sorry I didn't log it.
I'm sure he didn't realise that was going to happen, but he handled it pretty well, I thought.
Having played a straight bat to those tricky deliveries, it wasn't long before Beefy was back in his cricket whites and ready to do what he did best.
So the first test, when he comes back into the England side, he comes onto bowl and he comes running in. He's got the entire crowd in, like this first ball, wicket, and he turns around to the member stand like that. And I thought if he could have done that, he would have done.
With his reputation as a sporting superstar restored, Botham then announced his next mission was to trek across the Alps with a herd of elephants. On reflection, maybe not the best way to reassure people you're off the wacky-backy. And after a successful career in the media, this once rebellious outsider was made a life peer in the 2020 honours list.
This is a man who is now in the House of Lords. So somebody who was so outside of the establishment back then is now essentially right there in the heart of it, which just does show you how much our society has changed over time.
But while Ian Botham looked set to play the role of sporting pantomime villain in 1986, even he couldn't match the national outrage caused that summer by this diminutive and divisive Argentinian footballer. This was World Cup year, and Bobby Robson's England team jetted off to Mexico with high hopes of emulating the heroics of 1966. Thanks to the goal-scoring prowess of Gary Lineker, the three Lions made it through to the quarter-finals, where they would face a familiar foe.
England had started the tournament as outsiders, but grown into it and gotten better and better.
The win over Paraguay means England play Argentina on Sunday.
Here they were against Argentina, who for many people were the favourites because they had Maradona, who at this time was the greatest player in the world.
Maradona was completely rock and roll. You know, he's just a kid from a barrio in Argentina who ended up being the greatest footballer of his generation. Total genius, doing things that people didn't think were possible, making it look really, really easy.
Maradona and his Argentinian teammates had extra motivation to beat England.
The game between England and Argentina had quite a serious background to it. It wasn't that many years after there'd been armed conflict between the British Army and Argentina over the Falklands, as we call them, the Malvinas, as I call it in Argentina, a territorial dispute.
In 5 days, 3 British warships were lost.
And now they're lining up on a football pitch.
Police and army are to visibly step up security measures for the England versus Argentina match.
So imagine being the referee or linesman. You want to make sure you get every decision right.
And they did. Apart from one.
In the first half, it was nip and tuck. It was neck and neck. It comes to the second half. The ball ricochets up in the England area. Peter Shilton goes up to punch it away. And Maradona, who is 8 inches shorter than Peter Shilton, somehow rises above him and heads the ball into the goal. As far as the referee and the linesman were concerned, everybody else saw that his hand was at least a foot above his head, and he slam dunked it into the net, basketball style.
I think he's such a good actor. You know, he was like, no, it's all fine, it's all good. Referee allows it, the goal is accepted.
Maradona's cheated, didn't he? And it's football for you.
When you're viewing it through today's prism, you're thinking, well, straight away that'd go to VAR. There was no VAR. The replays we saw in our lounge just made us madder and madder. And you think, how have they missed out such a blatant handball?
Maradona could use his feet when he wanted, and 4 minutes later scored what many consider the greatest goal ever.
A few days ago, Argentines were saying, how can you win a cup with just one player? Now they're saying, with Maradona, we can go anywhere.
England, go home! England, go home!
And so England did go home, returning to a country seething with injustice at Maradona's handiwork.
There's still bitterness over the 2-1 defeat by Argentina. Diego Maradona, who scored both Argentine goals, has admitted his first came after he handled the ball.
The media in Britain was absolutely apoplectic, outraged, incensed. And it was called the hand of God because afterwards, when Diego Maradona was asked about the goal, he said, a little bit the head of Diego, a little bit the hand of God.
Are you suggesting that God advocates cheating? Is that what you're suggesting? That God's put it in the net for you over Shilton's head with your hand because he wanted you to win? Because if that's the path you're going down, good luck with that.
Would you have owned up if you'd, against Argentina, if you'd put the hand in and put the cup, would you, as a true British sportsman, have owned up to that?
No.
I think one of the things about it is it held up 2 different worldviews. There was that very supposedly English notion of, fair play. And then there was the much more South American idea of the kind of, the street hero, the man who can get away with it, the artful dodger. I mean, and that's what he was, basically. He picked a pocket or 2.
Coming up, you want more celebrity scandal? You're welcome. The King of Pop gets a new nickname.
People made up their mind he was Wacko Jacko, and it stuck.
Madonna causes a commotion for a change.
She's always been opinionated. She's always been outspoken. She doesn't care about her critics.
And in cinema, well, where do you even start with this?
There is something really odd about C. Thomas Howell in blackface and a wig.
It's 1986, a year Britain got out the Union Jack bunting and party poppers to celebrate a royal wedding.
The day the girl they called Fergie rode in a fairy tale coach, wearing a fairy tale dress, to marry her prince.
Yes, Prince Andrew's days of playing the field were over, and he went on to live a blameless life, untainted by even the slightest whiff of impropriety. While the Windsors played happy families in 1986, it was left to pop royalty to cause all the controversy. And one newspaper headline was to change our perception of a global icon forever.
1986 was a very sort of key year in Britain's relationship with Michael Jackson. He'd been this incredible, untouchable pop star who was a bit eccentric. He had Bubbles the chimp. Well, you know, all pop stars have a chimp, don't they? But then we saw him in his oxygen chamber on the front of The Sun, and the headline, Wacko Jacko. And in a way, that can be seen as a sort of tipping point in the public perception of him, certainly in this country.
If it's good enough for Michael Jackson, it's good enough for me.
People made up their mind at that point he was Wacko Jacko, and it stuck.
It was the moment MJ went from the king of pop to the king of doing really weird stuff. But was there more to the infamous oxygen chamber story than we thought?
I actually knew Michael a bit. I spent 3 months with him writing a book. And he said what happened was he went to open a new wing of the Los Angeles Children's Hospital, and they had a hyperbaric oxygen chamber thing. The PR people said, would you mind going in there and having the media photograph you in the chamber? He said, yeah, sure, I'll happily do that. And so the picture came out, and somebody wrote this headline, Wacko Jacko, which really hurt him, because he thought he was just doing a kind thing for the LA Children's Hospital.
But in the mid-'80s, there were so many headlines about Jacko, it was hard to separate fact from fiction.
I think at one point he was trying to buy the bones of John Merrick, the Elephant Man. And he built for himself a roller coaster and a zoo, his Neverland Ranch. Neverland, obviously named after the J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan. The phenomenon about never growing up. It's what you do when you're rich and you're in Hollywood and you've got too much time and too much money.
It became more about the headlines with Michael Jackson than the music. It was like a volcano erupting, so you were not even thinking about the Michael Jackson music that you used to love. You were thinking about, did he, didn't he?
It may come as little surprise that the King of Pop's main rival for column inches in 1986 was the Queen of Pop.
After a string of top 10 hits, she's become the darling of the teeny boppers and inspired a generation to copy her distinctive style.
1986 was supposed to be Madge's biggest year yet, with a new movie, third album, and a big star Hollywood husband. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Oh, wait. This is Madonna, remember?
Madonna has been the queen of controversy. Her whole career has been interwoven with controversial images, controversial performances, controversial decisions.
What does your mum think of Madonna?
Not much. Well, most parents don't really. They think she's bad.
She's always been opinionated. She's always been outspoken. She doesn't care about her critics.
Which was just as well, because those critics were about to have a field day when she teamed up with hubby Sean Penn for a new movie.
So there's this pneumatic superstar, Madonna. Long blonde hair, great pair of lungs, and she's just got herself a new consort, Sean Penn. Tell you what, fellas, let's put them in a movie together, a caper movie, a romp, have a bit of fun. Isn't that great? Well, no, it's not great.
While making Shanghai Surprise, the couple the press had nicknamed the Poison Pens found themselves besieged by paparazzi.
Sean Penn already had a reputation as someone who was a bit fiery. And you know that it's going to be one of those relationships that is completely intense, is really, really passionate, but also totally tempestuous.
Penn was clearly not someone who enjoyed the attention that came with being Mr. Madonna. When faced with photographers, he often let his fists do the talking. Then in July '86, Penn was charged with battery for attacking a man who he claimed was trying to kiss Madonna.
They said sort of years and years after that they were the loves of each other's lives. And it's terribly sweet, but he did not stop hitting people.
OK, so while her movie tanked and her personal life was splashed over the papers, at least Madonna's pop career could steer her back into less controversial waters, couldn't it? Well, in 1986, she released a song about that totally uncontentious issue, teenage pregnancy.
She's taking a chance on keeping this baby because this guy knows people and he might make your boyfriend an offer that he can't refuse.
Hullabaloo about this woman singing about keeping a baby and being strong and telling women, don't be told what you want to do. If you want to keep the baby, you can.
It's quite a moral song because she wants to keep her baby and she's in love with her boyfriend. It's not as if she's saying, I eat babies for breakfast and I like a bit of Satan worship in the afternoon.
It wasn't just the keeping of the baby that was causing problems. Some commentators speculated on the use of the words papa and preach as having a deeper religious message. And that led to Pope John Paul II wading in on the debate.
To actually involve the head of the Catholic Church, that was really unheard of.
So, ironically, Papa did preach. Madonna qualified the song's meaning as about challenging male authority figures, a message her female fans lapped up.
The young Madonna wannabes of the 80s who all dressed like her, that situation is so identifiable for them because that would be the situation they'd be talking about at school. What would happen if you went too far with your boyfriend? What would you say to your mum? What would you say to your dad? You know, all those things absolutely connects with her audience, and that's very clever.
I like the way she acts, because I think all women should be able to act like they want without being run down by men at all.
We think of the 60s, it was all about the pill being introduced, etc. But thinking about the 80s, and socially saying to somebody, listen, don't be pressurised. 1, you don't have to marry them. 2, you don't have to get rid of the baby. 3, we will support you if you decide to have that child. So really, really strong messages, which at the time were groundbreaking.
There was another famous blonde causing controversy in 1986. While Madonna was empowering women, the main character of 9½ Weeks was a submissive female, sexually dominated by her partner.
The film is about 2 strangers that go on a blind date, played by Kim Basinger and Mickey Rourke.
A study of obsession.
The film's director was no stranger to big-screen sex. Adrian Lyne gave us some of the era's raunchiest screen outings like Fatal Attraction, Indecent Proposal and Flashdance. He had begun his career in commercials and can be argued as one of the originators of the 1980s slick, sensual cinema style.
Like one of the great 80s filmmakers, his visual style and the way he made things erotic was very arty in it. That's the debate, really, is this a comfortable depiction to watch? Because Elizabeth, this is Kim Basinger's character, does seem so willing to indulge in a lot of his fans.
More shocking now than he did then.
Synonymous with the 1980s, the glossy, big-budget erotic thriller largely went out of fashion in the 90s and noughties before making a comeback in a big way with a film centred around a powerful businessman who gets his kicks controlling and humiliating women. Sound familiar?
50 Shades of Grey must have been influenced by 9½ Weeks because there are so many similarities. You've got the domineering, sexy guy and then the young woman who's being really kind of perhaps coerced into a submissive relationship. And then it's played almost as a romantic drama. Both films come from a similar place.
In one sense, we haven't really travelled that far at all. Because 50 Shades of Grey is more or less 9½ Weeks for the 2010s, but with less good music.
Strap yourselves in, because another big screen offering from '86 made the storm over 9½ Weeks seem like a mere blip on the outrageometer. Picture the scene. A bunch of Hollywood types have an idea. Let's make a teen comedy about a white law student pretending to be black to get into Harvard. At that point, someone should have said, "Are you kidding?" But instead they all yelled, "Green light it!" No, really.
Here we are in 1986, and Soul Man came out. And what's the strap line? He didn't give up. He got down.
Soul Man has the kind of premise where you just go, how did this ever exist? How did this ever happen?
His college fees, because his very wealthy family decide that they're no longer going to fund his education.
It was controversial to a lot of people because of the main character switching from white to black in a very unique way. He did it by taking lots and lots of tanning pills. I didn't know that could work.
Throughout the 80s, there were various films popping up that were trying to do this switch reversal to give the audience an alternative perspective. We saw that in films like Big, where he became young. This tried to do it with race. I don't think they did it very well.
Its heart was in the right place because the idea is this white person becomes black and then he discovers, from being like a posh white person, he discovers what discrimination feels like.
You just think, yeah, I can see what you're trying to do, but this is as clumsy as trying to...
People expect of black culture and black representation. But I do remember thinking there is something really odd about C. Thomas Howell in blackface and a wig. And I do remember thinking this is the weirdest film I've seen.
That's an understatement. Although the film is said to have hauled in $35 million at the box office, its release was met with protest and condemnation.
It was a box office success and there were some really good actors in it. I just think that because of where the world was by 1986, a lot of black people just found it offensive and said that we don't care about your reasons. We don't want you representing us like that. We don't think it's right.
On the subject of just not right, we're about to revisit another screen storyline that had the world gasping with disbelief when murdered Bobby Ewing lurched back into life.
It was the most bonkers thing that could possibly ever have happened in a soap opera.
And in political dramas, Ronald Reagan went into arms dealing. Very badly.
Sticking your nose in somebody else's affair, which the Americans, of course, are past masters of doing.
If you could distill the 80s into one TV show, this was it. From the skyscrapers in its famous split-screen title sequence to the outrageous storylines and flamboyant outfits, Dallas had it all. Big hair, big frocks, big storylines, and in '86, a big suspension of disbelief.
Dallas was the first example of water cooler telly. It was preposterous and therefore incredibly entertaining.
Teeth and tans, everyone. We're in the world of oil barons, sibling rivalry, and double dealing.
Are you telling me that she works for you?
Works for me.
That is what you're saying.
You had JR, everyone's favourite soap baddie, and his brother Bobby, the show's heartthrob.
Bobby, you're my brother. I just want to help you. I just want to help in return.
It's Cain and Abel, isn't it? Like good brother, bad brother. I was completely obsessed with Bobby Ewing because he was very cute.
Cute maybe, but by the 8th series, Patrick Duffy's fame had outgrown the show, so he sensationally quit to pursue a movie career. And just to make sure he couldn't be brought back in some unbelievable and controversial plotline, he asked for Bobby to be killed in one last heroic act saving Pam, the love of his life. This proved to be a bad idea for all concerned.
They can't possibly kill off one of the most famous characters in this huge soap opera.
I love you so much.
But kill him off they did, and there wasn't a dry eye in the hospital as season 8 ended in the most dramatic way imaginable.
Don't do this to me, Bobby. Don't leave me.
Bobby, no.
So goodbye, Bobby. No one character was bigger than the show, right?
Do you think that the format of Dallas itself can cope with the vacuum that Bobby's character will?
Are you asking my ego or are you asking my business
Is it
sense?
both?
Yeah, my ego says no.
And his ego was right. With Bobby gone, viewers started leaving South Fork too. As ratings nosedived for Series 9, the bosses realised they had to pull off a Lazarus-style comeback, and fast.
Listen, ratings really bad. We got to do something about this. Who's our most popular character? Bobby. Get him on the phone, bring him back. I don't care how much he wants. But how are we going to bring him back? He's dead. That's your problem.
How complimentary were they when they tried to lure you back? Did they actually say, look, the ratings are dropping, we need you? What did they do?
Well, basically, yes. You know, it's not a good negotiating ploy to come on your knees to somebody and say that we can't live without you. So that didn't happen until after I signed.
Do you think you'll be able to manage on $75,000 an episode?
I was happy making what I made, and I'll be even more happy if that's possible on what my new salary is, which I won't disclose, and no one yet has accurately forecast what it is. So you're not even in the ballpark yet.
The scene was set for Patrick Duffy to make a dramatic comeback. There was just one teeny-weeny problem. Bobby Ewing was still a bit, well, dead.
If you've got an actor you really want to employ again and they've agreed on the contract and they've given in to the money, then you're going to bring them back somehow if you're running a soap, and that's what happened. The writer's room must have been perfectly ridiculous, and what they came up with was perfectly ridiculous.
And remember, Stephanie was in The Colbys. But so it came to pass that on the 8th of October 1986, British TV viewers tuned in to witness a soap opera miracle as Pam woke up from a very, very deep sleep.
Pamela, his widow, woke up and there was Bobby in the shower.
Good morning. And you're like, wait. You're dead, aren't you, bruv?
Hey, what's the matter?
There had been rumours circling that Patrick Duffy was back as Bobby's twin, or someone who'd had Bobby-style plastic surgery. But what actually happened was even more startling.
And she realised that the whole of the previous series had been a dream.
Honey, what's the matter? You look like you just saw a ghost.
For a minute, I thought I did.
And it was ridiculous. It was the most bonkers thing that could possibly ever have happened in a soap opera.
When I woke up, I thought that you were dead.
What?
I had a nightmare, a terrible nightmare.
But that's a hell of a kip she had. It must have been 31 hours of sleep to have all the episodes of Series 9.
Pam, I'm right here, and I'm fine.
It was all a dream.
Well, there was so much more in Bobby. It seemed so real.
The oldest and laziest plot twist in the book had been resurrected. So let's see how that went down with the viewers, shall we?
The climactic moment came right at the end of the programme.
I'll tell you, I was not very satisfied with the whole episode at all. And not with his reappearance and with the way that it's been set up. Very disappointed.
I think some fans were absolutely fuming, like this is outrageous and ridiculous and how could you possibly do it? I was not one of them. I was just happy to have Bobby back in the shower.
I'm glad he's back, and I was real happy to see him, and I like the way it was done, too.
And we forgot very quickly, didn't we? It was just like, oh yeah, he's back from the dead. Let's carry on now.
But whatever craziness TV writers can come up with, you can bet politicians will top it in real life. Along with Bobby's second coming, another unbelievable drama was taking place on America's screens. Although this time the weirdness came not from South Fork, but the White House.
The situation this morning. The White House is under siege. The president says, I'm not going to back off. I'm not going to crawl into a hole.
The 70s had Nixon and Watergate. The 80s had Reagan and the Iran-Contra affair.
It's taken 6 years for the president's casual, even light-hearted approach to his job to get him into trouble, and it is serious trouble.
Reagan and the Iran-Contra scandal. You've got to think of a really outrageous Hollywood film. And you've got to think of the most preposterous plots ever.
President Reagan has again pledged to get to the bottom of the Iranian arms scandal and the money which was funneled off to rebel forces in Central America.
OK, pay attention. Here's the story of this controversy in bite-sized form.
In the Middle East, you have got some American hostages in Lebanon, and Ronald Reagan says to his advisors, let's get them out. I want the Americans home. They come up with a plan, and the plan is to sell arms to Iran. Now, it was illegal. They're not supposed to be selling arms to Iran, but the idea was that if they did that, Iran would allow these American hostages to go home. At the same time, the money that was going to be made by selling arms to Iran could be funneled to Nicaragua to actually give to the Contras so that they could be armed in their struggle against communism.
Or, to sum it up more succinctly,
sticking your nose in somebody else's affair, which the Americans, of course, are past masters at doing.
It's kind of amazing, right, that Ronald Reagan thought, well, this sounds like a great idea and no one's ever going to find out.
Anyway, it all blew up in Reagan's face when it was discovered, and that was the scandal.
this supposedly top-secret arms deal became a proper Thanksgiving gift for the world's press.
Mr. Reagan was presented with the traditional Eve of Thanksgiving turkey, but the White House press corps were sharpening their knives for the president.
Mr. President, what did you know about money going to the Contras?
All I know is this is just going to taste wonderful. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. He's not looking forward.
Mr. President, how much trouble are you in because of this Contra revelation? Did you know about the Contra, sir?
Here's somebody who took pride on being straight. You know, I'm a kind of straight-talking president.
I was not fully informed on the nature of one of the activities undertaken in connection with this initiative.
And then this information was coming out that was showing that A, he wasn't being straight with people, and B, there was actually quite a lot of incompetence around this deal.
Either Reagan knew what was going on and he's lying to the American public, or else he's incredibly stupid and inept at keeping an eye over things.
He should have let the people know what he was doing instead of trying to go behind their back.
Do you remember the disease colon I had a while back? No, during the operation, the Soviets infiltrated the theater and secretly implanted a large bugging device. Somebody must have told them that I talked through my ass.
Reagan eventually did the honourable thing that most presidents do when in a tight spot. He let others take the blame, namely Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North of the National Security Council. Despite the controversy, the arms to Iran scandal didn't bring down Reagan as some thought it might. In fact, his popularity remained high.
Reagan was a film star. I mean, he had star quality. He, had that appeal to people. They called him the Teflon president because nothing ever stuck to him. And somehow he managed to survive.
The corruption and everything else is appalling. I'll just look at it as a Hollywood script.
Still to come, more TV outrage as Channel 4 becomes Channel 4.
They are horrific, they're not artistic, they're sordid, they show the depths of depravity.
While the BBC got lewd, nude, and extremely rude.
Fleet Street just saw Bums, the Bee, Mrs. Whitehouse, and they went for it.
While for many, the mid-80s was a golden age of television, not everyone was happy about the kind of stuff that was being beamed into our living rooms. Chief culprit in the controversy stakes, you've guessed it, Channel 4, who'd been busy steaming up people's glasses with some of their more racy output.
Channel 4 was already very radical. It was always in trouble with the newspapers. Every other day, another Channel 4 outrages the nation. There were always questions asked in the House of Commons about what Channel 4 were doing next.
In '86, the channel announced that a season of shocking foreign films would be aired. Movies that would push the British censorship laws to their limits. They were known as the Red Triangle films.
From time to time, in the late evening, Channel 4 transmits films made for the cinema, which some viewers may find a bit strong for television. From now on, as an experiment, we'll be using this triangular warning symbol before and during films which include explicit material.
The purpose of having the red triangle on screen was that if you were flicking through for channels and you happened to stumble across Channel 4, you wouldn't inadvertently see something that you didn't want to see.
You may then decide not to watch a film which might offend you or a member of your family.
For example, an intense sex sequence, or maybe features cannibalism or long scenes of torture.
We hope that this will help you enjoy your viewing on Channel 4.
I think the ironic thing about having the red triangle on screen is that it made it feel rather taboo, and bizarrely it ended up becoming quite a big success.
Of course, as planned, this was a red rag, or rather a red triangle, to the bullish Mary Whitehouse, who was in outrage heaven, with 10 shocking films to get cross about.
Does that mean that you approve, for example, of Channel 4's new system of having a warning triangle?
Look, let's get one thing clear. That triangle would not go on any programme unless the programme concerned was more extreme than would normally be seen on television. I mean, it was just verbal, physical, moral anarchy.
There were people who were sort of vehemently talking about how it was degrading public standards and making TV go to a lower moment than it's ever done before.
They are horrific, they're not artistic, they're sordid, they show the depths of depravity. I would suggest if people want to see this, they should go to a special club where such films can be shown for people who are perverted like that.
This is the worst, most controversial TV of all time.
Meanwhile, the tabloids, seemingly oblivious to any irony or hypocrisy, were apoplectic about the sex and nudity on offer, rebranding Channel 4 as Channel 4. None of which did the ratings any harm at all.
I was lucky enough, not every kid had a TV in their room, and I pretended I would go to sleep. The lights would go out. I could hear my mum and dad knocking on the door. Then they'd go downstairs, and then I'd sneak over to the TV in my room and start watching for potential flashes of boobs or bums or anything else.
Although those secret late-night viewing sessions could be seriously disturbing.
Actually, a lot of the adult content wasn't of a sexual nature. Some of the content was really harrowing. I remember watching a film about life in a Turkish prison, and it was really shocking, which was just absolutely devastating for me.
The Red Triangle films might not have been exactly what the teenaged Bobby had been hoping for. But there was bare flesh aplenty in a controversial BBC drama that once more had Mrs. Whitehouse reaching for the smelling salts. The singing detective came from the controversy-laden typewriter of Dennis Potter, who'd been testing boundaries for years, including the disturbing drama Brimstone and Treacle, which the Beeb had banned in 1976.
Sunday night had Michael Gambon in, big star, big budget.
I used to think that all I wanted was the good opinion of honourable men and the ungrudging love of beautiful women. Now I know for sure that all I really want is a cigarette. Just one more cigarette, Ellie.
It has all of Potter's brilliance and all of his depravity there on the screen.
People discussed it the next day, and they discussed it because they sort of loved it, even if they were shocked.
One infamous moment from The Singing Detective certainly had everyone talking, as one flashback scene saw the 10-year-old Philip witnessing his mother having an illicit rendezvous in the forest with a friend of his father.
Christ, we've been going through this stuff for ages. We must be half a mile from anywhere. We haven't seen a soul.
There was a lot of shocked response to the scene where we see Patrick Malahide humping away.
Some shocked viewers marched straight to the post office.
So we've received over 200 letters about the singing detective, mostly like this from Valerie Siggins of Cleckheaton.
How dare the BBC allow such explicit sexual activities to be shown?
Mrs. E.M. Johnson of Darlington says,
I think the singing detective should be banned and no more episodes shown.
But Paul Thompson of Shrewsbury asks,
what's all this fuss about the singing detective? All we see is half a second of some chap's bum.
But half a second of bum was still half a second too long for Mary Whitehouse. She suggested BBC controller Michael Grade should be given his P45. The tabloids, despite their own predilection for flashing naked flesh, also weighed in.
I think really that Fleet Street just saw, it's bums, the Beeb, Mrs. Whitehouse, it was a good runner, and they went for it. I think the saddest conversation I had all last week was with a reporter on the Daily Express, and he rang me up and he said, no, really, we're all behind you, I think it's great, it's a fantastic series, and no, she's getting into a fuss about nothing, and we think it's great. And I said, well, what is your newspaper saying about it? Filth like this shouldn't be seen on British screens.
Tabloids, particularly in the mid-'80s, they sold copy by jumping on these kinds of things. So it suited their interest to stir up any complaint by the likes of Mary Whitehouse to say this is obscene. Obscenity was a big obsession of the mid-'80s.
The tabloid press create shock out of nothing. They say, shock, outrage, screaming headlines. And of course it leaves the impression that people are more easily shocked. I think people are much more mature than the newspapers, the popular newspapers, the tabloid newspapers ever give them credit for.
At the same time, the fallibility and the stupidity of being a male, isn't it, in a sense, isn't it? And also the playfulness of the whole thing, and also the darkness of it.
Who has been affected by any of the issues raised in tonight's programme, please go to channel5.com/helplines for information and support. Next, criminals caught on camera.